Hey there guys, and welcome to another video. And in this video we are doing our precon deck upgrade guide for the Innistrad in Midnight Hunt Coven Counters deck, the green-white Selesnya deck, or whatever people want to call it now. I'm sure they want to call it something else now. But whatever people want to call it, it is an interesting deck to sort of give it something, I guess. At least it's a new direction, kind of, like the whole Coven mechanic. But this deck, I think, it's kind of hard to figure out what to do with it, and it's sort of very weak in comparison to the zombie deck. But first, before we get too far into figuring out what we're doing with this deck, I at least want to take a quick look at the actual face commander of the deck. Often the face commander is the best commander, but not always, but we'll just have a quick look at it. Lenore, Autumn Sovereign, 4 mana for a 0/4, 2 and green-white. So at the beginning of your combat on your turn, you put a +1 counter on up to one target creature you control. Then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you draw a card. So you get one counter, no matter what. Then you might draw a card if you have Coven going. So 3 different creatures with 3 different powers. Lenore does give you 0 power. There's not that many things that are going to have 0 power, but if you put the counter on her, she'll be 1 power, but, again, just 1 counter for 4 mana and a 0/4, that just doesn't seem that exciting. So I was thinking, let's have a quick look at the sub-commander for this deck. Kyla, Sigardian Emissary. 5 mana, 2/2, 3 green-white. Whenever another human you control enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on him or her, whichever. Other humans you control get +1/+1 for each counter on this creature. So again, not super duper interestingly or powerful, really. Maybe you could go in a Voltron direction with this. I don't know. It's so tough. It's just so tough. There's just not that much to work with either of these. Like, yeah, you can go humans more easily with Kyla, because Kyla can pump up all your humans, be an anthem for them. She's only a 2/2. I don't know. You've really got to get counters on Kyla much easier and quicker than what I think you can deploy humans in this deck. And that's where I think the problem is. So let's have a quick look at the actual deck list and maybe go through it, and then we'll go through some stuff and have a bit of a chat about more stuff with this deck.
By the way, we make lots of great content here on the channel, and if you haven't already, please think about subscribing to the channel. It really helps out the channel grow and make more great content for you. And as our analytics show, 95.6% of people aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, do please think about subscribing to the channel. All right, so this is the Coven Counters deck, and pretty much the same is true here as I was saying for the zombie deck. You can again see like the breakdown of like the rares and mythics and uncommons and whatnot. You can see the price on average of the deck and whatnot, and you can see the average price of some of the cards. Again, a lot of the new cards, you can see some of the prices for them, including Lenore and whatnot from the deck. Again, these prices will be in flux, so don't 100% guarantee that these are the exact prices of the deck or the cards in the deck, because the prices will be in flux and whatnot. So just take them with a grain of salt for what this deck is worth, what all these cards are worth. But we can see that there are some nice and interesting cards in this deck. One of the new cards, actually, I think it's a 1 or 2 drop human that taps for mana equal to the number of humans we control or something. Or maybe it's a 3 drop human. Oh, this is it. Yeah, this guy. This guy's pretty good. Marwyn the Nurturer sort of style of effect, except for humans. So yeah, that's pretty good. So this is green-white human tribal. The question that I've been going through with this deck, besides a few of these weird, like, questionable cards that they might have put in here and there, like, that's always the thing. But anyway, what is this deck doing? Like, what's its win condition? And I guess it's just human tribal good stuff. Like, but how can we turn, like, making human tokens and doing human things into a win? And how can we cut cards from this deck that will necessitate an aggro, like, win, and what can we add to this deck that will, increase that? So those are the things that I think this deck has to do. We have to find things that are, going to buff our humans, and help us get in for combat damage. So we need things that give our humans or all of our creatures various different forms of evasion. So there are some cards that we can put in. There are obviously, like, cards that are already in this deck that are doing a good job at, some of these things. And we do have some +1/+1 counters synergy as well. So we might want to lean into the +1/+1 counters synergy as well. There are some humans and whatnot that do that. We want to cut some of these cards that aren't really on tribe for us as much as possible, even though they might be okay or good in certain circumstances because they're part of our ramp or they're part of this or they're part of that. We might have to make some necessity cuts just to get more onto humans and whatnot, because our deck needs mostly humans or almost all humans to really be functioning heavily and well. So let's have a quick look at the EDH rec page for actually, I don't know whether we're going to look at Lenore. Let's think for a second, because that's the next question. Which commander are we actually, like, going with? Because this is a human tribal deck, in my opinion. Like, this is human tribal. The +1/+1 counters are a side benefit. So I think we're actually looking at our sub-commander. So I think we'll have a look at Kyla Sigardian Emissary's page, because we're more focusing in on the human tribal aspect than whatever else is going on in this deck. We're more focused on the +1 counters synergy than anything else happening in the deck as well. So I think this is the best way to go. So we'll have a look at Kyla's page instead of Lenore's page. So unfortunately, it looks like currently there are 0 decks for Kyla. So we're going to have to get a bit creative and just go for the original commander for now and see if we can figure out, like, working with Lenore to work towards building a Kyla deck, I think, because that's the only way we could do it. So it doesn't look like there's many Lenore decks built yet, but it is early days, and I don't think there were many zombie decks being built either. But still, we're going to have to scratch like the basic levels of this like data so far, so to work with this. So again, it might not have a lot of stuff that we absolutely want. And, like, again, maybe we could just go with Sagata as our commander, but that's neither here nor there at this moment. It is an angel, and it cares about humans, so it would be better as a commander, I think. But, again, I don't think we want it for this deck. If you happen to have one, if you happen to pull one, if you happen to want to build around Sagata specifically more so, go ahead and do that. I might even do a deck tech here on the channel about it if you guys want to see that, but this is not the way we're going, and this is not a card that we want. Augur of Autumn, though, is a card that we would want. It is like $8 here, or again, these prices will be in flux, so do be like wary of some of these prices. Again, this set has just released, so we're not sure, we're not going to be sure for a couple of weeks how these prices are going to settle, but certainly Augur of Autumn, definitely a great card. Let's just play lands off the top of our deck, and if we have Coven going, then we can cast creatures. So both parts are fairly good. It's probably one of the stronger cards from the set and more desired cards from the set, so I would be aware that some of these prices may go up as well. Alright, Dawnheart Mentor. Makes a human. Creature you control. If we have enough mana, the mana sink can be okay, but just making, another human is okay, and as a human itself, it will double trigger our commander, which again is the other commander, so it makes 2 counters onto our commander, double buffs our creatures. We can do better than this, but it's an okay card, so if you're not willing to put too much of a budget into it, it wouldn't be too bad. Alright, we don't have many high synergy stuff because, again, we're not, we're not got many deck techs done or many decks done with this. So, alright. Terran, I don't think Terran's that good, but, mostly you want the partner with stuff. It's okay. If you attack, you get a 1/1. It's only 1/1/1. So I don't know. An extra human on the battlefield, a 3/3, and you do want to attack with your humans, and you do want to get extra humans, so it's okay. Yeah, sure, if you want to put it in, it's fine. I don't think it's amazing. This guy's already in the deck. Thalia's Lieutenant is amazing, and wow, it's been this is from last year, is it? Last year's Commander decks? Yeah, last year's Commander decks, so now it's sitting at 50 cents, so this is the time to pick one up, absolutely, 100%. Absolutely, yes, pick one of these up and put this in the deck. This is an amazing card. Hanweir Militia Captain is actually really good once we flip it, because it makes humans every turn for us, which is really good. It triggers our commander every single turn to buff it up and to buff up our humans and whatnot. So that's really good. That's pretty good. I don't know. I don't think Sagata's that good. Mangara. I think Mangara's kind of cool. He is sitting at $13 right now, so it is a little bit higher of a price card. And he doesn't do that much, really. He only triggers our commander and sort of pseudo protects us from being attacked a little bit. But he is okay. I do think he's kind of cool. Abzan Falconer's in the deck. I don't think Thalia is that amazing. Like, if we want to go Staxy route, maybe. I don't think we really want to. We want to go wide. Mija is amazing. This is an amazing card. This is 25 cents. If we can find one, we can pick it up easy. Include in this deck, because it just makes humans whenever we play a land, and just buffs up our humans even more, which is really good. This is already in the deck. I don't know whether we want to be gaining life from our humans. That's okay. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, that's okay. It's not that amazing. When another dies, transform it, and then it's when it attacks, return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Attacking. No, that's okay. It's not that bad. What does this thing do? Whenever enters the battlefield or attacks, there's a 1 target card from a graveyard. Choose a color. Gains hexproof from the color until end of turn. Can't be blocked. So it has protection. Okay, alright. I think like a little bit of graveyard hate's pretty nice. And this for 50 cents, that seems good. Or even like 60 cents or even $1 or $2. That seems pretty fine. I don't know whether we want Sylph, but she gives our stuff Death Touch and we need Evasion, which is nice. It gives our stuff Hexproof and we can untap and tap stuff and whatnot. So if we've got some stuff that's making a lot of mana, like the human that we were talking about earlier that makes mana for the number of counters on it, which is equal to the number of humans that entered, can be good. Intrepid Adversary, wow, it's like $6 or $7 here, whatever. But this is definitely a card that we would want because it's an anthem on a creature and it's a human as well. So it can do a lot of stuff for our deck. So I definitely think we could put it in. What does this guy do? Beginning of combat, 3 or more creatures, different powers, target creature control. No, I don't think that that's that relevant. If it's day or night, when it becomes day or the top 4 cards, your library. Okay, I don't think we've got enough day or night stuff, and there's not enough day or night stuff in our colours really to do much with that. Being in combat, if you control different powers, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. That's okay. Another like buff is nice, and it is a human, so it helps out with our commander. On it, at the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you put a +1 counter on target creature you control. This can help with our commander or the other card that we were talking about that makes a lot of mana. Cardia or Kirtia or Catilda. That's it, isn't it? Sorry, I'm forgetting what her actual name is. Making our humans tap for mana, that's pretty darn good. Putting a +1/+1 counter on all of our humans when we have a glut of mana isn't too bad either. So yeah, sure, certainly, both of these cards. Cather Commander, I think, is a bit of a sleeper card. I think it's really great and deserves to be in almost every white deck going forward because it's basically a Rexage effect. So I think it's really good. And it's very good in this deck because it helps out with our commander. It's more synergistic in our deck than in most other decks. So I definitely think about putting it in. Ardeen, yeah, she makes humans as well. So and they're tapped and attacking, aren't they? Yep, and that's good. And she gets bigger based on the number of creatures we have. We're kind of a go wide plus anthem style deck. This is kind of a deck that I kind of would actually like, I think, but I don't like this human tribal, I think. That's the only thing. But yeah, definitely. Lifelink, no. Cards from your hand or permanent you battlefield. Put their counters on this. As long as counters on it has flying, angel in addition to its other types. The 10 or more counters. Has indestructible. That's kind of cool, but I don't know. I just don't think you'll get there. I think we want to go wider than this. We don't want to go so tall with one thing. We want to go with multiple different things with this deck and make... We do want our commander to be big, but that's also making everything else we have big. So, yeah, we want to do lots of things being big, not just one. It's okay. Certainly could go in the deck somewhere. Wouldn't be too bad. That's interesting. A sort of, whatever it's called, not Leonin, whatever his name is, the Life League boy. What's his name? Don't remember his name. Gee whiz. But yeah, that's pretty good. But again, we want to go wide, so I don't know. Whenever a creature, yeah, that's okay too. It's another way to buff our creatures. It is a human. I think it's better than what maybe I think, but I don't know. It could be good for this deck specifically. A lot of times you don't want to run creatures that have partner without their partner, but in this deck, maybe. Attacks, turn. Wait. It gains. I was just like reading this and I just was like, oh wait, does this do another effect like, what's his name? But it doesn't. Lord Idric. No. Top 4 cards of your library. Yep, this is pretty good. Pseudo card draw effect. It is once off, but still, like, we could find some ways to flicker it if we really want. And that's still pretty good. We can still get more things into our hands. So, yeah, definitely this Courageous Outright is pretty good. Let's find some more things. Creature type, human, creature control, protection. Wow, that's kind of cool card for this deck. Wow. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I definitely think Hamlet Captain's pretty good. Not really gaining much life, but that's okay. Investigate's okay too, so maybe we could run that. We're not running Core, we're not running Cleric. We're not really running that many non-human, non-creatures. We're more running creatures. Champion the Parish is okay. Bounty Agent, maybe, but I'm not super sold on it. I'm not going to look at many of these artifacts or instant sorceries rather. We'll have a quick look at the artifacts, enchantments, and whatnot. Just quickly before we move on, we might want Herald's Horn. We are a tribal deck, so we also might want Icon of Ancestry in that case because we are tribal. Coat of Arms can be good as well, but we do have to watch out because it helps our opponents as well. Vanquisher's Banner is quite good. Bestiary, maybe, but it's not that important. But it can be okay. Cathar's Crusade can be really good. Maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. What else have we got here? Whenever a creature we control dies, we investigate, we sack a clue, we get a 1/1 human soldier creature token. That's not that bad, like when our board gets wiped, which it might do, or we might even have to wipe our own board a little bit sometimes, because our opponents are just getting too far ahead of what we're doing. We can just get a bunch of clues, which will draw us into more cards, which will actually refund us with humans automatically, which isn't too bad, but it's not the best, but still it can do some stuff. Support 2 isn't too bad, but you can return it to your hand, but you've got to pay 2. I don't know. I don't know how relevant Hardened Scouts is, but it's a decent card, and we are doing some +1/+1 counter shenanigans, so it can be good. Beastmaster Ascension is pretty cool in certain decks. We need ways to finish out the game, and we don't have that many Trader Hoof Behemoth or whatever effects in this deck, so maybe this could do well. Guardian Project, yep, we need a Guardian Project probably for this deck. I don't know whether you want a Smothering Tide, but Smothering Tide is just dumbly good. This can buff up our creatures, but makes cats, I don't know. Definitely throw it in. I don't think we want to look at Planeswalkers. I don't think we need to look at utility lands that much. I don't think we need to look at mana artifacts at all. I don't think we really need to look at too many of the lands, just anything that's good. Again, like I said with the deck before, and I even said it twice, I believe, but anyway, it's the same thing. Very true. Don't worry about too much of it, but just if you can get rid of the tap lands, get rid of the tap lands, and then just put in any possibly untapped duels that you want. You might want Path of Ancestry, maybe because it's tribal mostly. So yeah, but let's get back to the actual deck list and look at some cards that we want to cut. Alright, so let's see here. We don't really want Avacyn's Pilgrim. Oh no, we do want Avacyn's Pilgrim. I'm looking at the wrong card. Sorry. Macass is fine. This is fine for the most part. We don't want Gaia Sage, really, because it's an elf. We do want Knight of the White Orchid because it's a human, so that's pretty good. It's also ramp, so that's really good. There's a couple other humans, I think, that are actually also rampy spells, so we could try to put those in here as well, just to replace that. I don't think we need this random tree folk. I don't think you need this random wall. That's fine. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's not the greatest, but you could definitely take it out. Champion's fine. That's in the deck, which I already said was pretty good. That's really good. That's okay because it puts counters on our stuff, and sometimes we can get the political aspect with our opponents. This is okay. It's not amazing, but we'll take it because it's humans. That's okay. That's actually pretty good for this deck. We need more things that help buff our stuff up when we're getting into combat. So yeah, this isn't very good. I take it out. You have my Elder. Soulbinders is actually pretty cool. It makes spirits though, so that's kind of a little bit of a non-bow, but we can live with it maybe. If you can live with it, I'd keep it in. It's just fine. This is okay, not amazing. That Odric's okay. I think we actually want the other Odric as well, because that will help us with our keywords and stuff. We'll have some keywords, so we can utilize that. Okay, that's okay, but I think there can be better, but still, if we find somebody who's running Goblin Tribal, we can get around them. That's actually pretty good. It's not the most amazing, but it's okay. I see why this is in here, but I don't think it's that good. We can find better things. This is actually pretty good. That's an expensive card, actually. Nice to sort of see it come back. It does make Wolves, which is also a bit of a non-bow, but if you can live with that, it's a pretty darn good card because it just keeps adding more and more power to the battlefield. I like this card, but unfortunately it's an angel. I do think we still need some of the buffs that we've sort of got in this deck. Tough to keep this in. Sagada, I don't know. It does make humans, but we have to exile stuff from our graveyard. But it is only any card, so maybe we could keep it in. It does give our humans hexproof. Not as good as giving them indestructible, but it's still fine. This is pretty good. I don't think we need Virtuous Killer Hulk. That can come out. This is pretty good. Okay. Like, we want to get this in the graveyard to give an additional counter to everything. I think we can run better cards than it, but it's okay. Enduring. I don't think it's that good. Plus, it's Dragon, not Bow. Return any number of the coach cards. Oh, this is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Like, it's okay. Again, Glorious Rise, whatever. It's fine. Like, sometimes you hose the zombie deck, which is like, this deck is meant to go up sort of against one, like, the zombie deck. Like, it was built with the zombie deck in mind. So I can see it, but it is an angel and it is a non-bow. It does return all of our humans from our graveyard to the battlefield, which is a nice upside. So it can be good. So maybe this, I think, is a lot of mana for what it's adding, and none of it's humans, which we don't really care about. So I could see taking it out. Tristani Summoner, same sort of thing, plus it's already an elf. This is actually human, so we actually would like that human over the summoner. So I don't think you care about the Scion here or the Spawn here, so you get some better cards than some of these, but like that. Like, Celebrate the Harvest, not that amazing. Return to Dust, you can do better than that. Like, I'm not going to go through every single one of these cards. That you could do better than that. You could do better than that. This is not a token deck. This is a humans deck. That's fine. It's probably fine, even though you might not gain the life. You might eventually. That's okay, but I don't think it's that good. Like, you'd rather do it every turn. That's interesting, board wipe, but I think you can do better, so you take it out. Non-token creatures. We are making a lot of tokens, so I think keep it in. We don't need any of these mana rocks. Basically, you can keep Soul Ring if you really want to keep it, but we don't need to keep any of these other mana rocks. We don't really need to keep this artifact tutor either. We don't really need Swiftfoot Boots that much in this deck. You know, we want mass haste. We don't want just haste on one thing. This is not a Voltron deck. You know, we could make it a Voltron deck, but again, that's not really the way that I think this deck is meant to be built. We don't need this random curse. What does this do? Okay, gives counters to our stuff. That's pretty actually good. I think it's better than the upgrade, so that's okay. That could stay in. That could be good. You know, we could enchant ourselves, but I don't know. It's pretty irrelevant. Yeah, you know, this is okay. If we had some sack outlets or whatnot, this would be actually really good or whatnot. But yeah, I think it can you can do stuff with it, but again, you could just find better cards. I think the lands are a little bit light in this deck, which is weird in comparison to the other deck. Again, same thing as I was saying earlier, just take out any of these lands that basically ETB tapped and don't really do a whole lot. Rose Passage, again, we're not going Voltron. Selesnya Sanctuary. Even lands like this that don't really tap for mana by themselves, you have to tap other mana like Signets, Temple of Plenty, Temple of the False God, that sort of stuff. And just put in whatever you've got, or even just more basics, that's just fine too. And maybe one more basic, or you can just find like some decent MDFC cards, which you can put in, and they can be a spell, and they can be a land sometimes in a pinch if you really need it. So that is pretty much my suggestions for what to do to upgrade this deck. So, you know, guys, tell me what you think of this deck. Tell me, you know, did I miss anything? What other cards, you know, could I have put in here? Do you want to see a more, like, just straight token build in this? Or what kind of deck do you think this commander or one of these commanders, whichever one you want to pick, should, like, be the face of the deck or whatnot? Let me know all your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our videos. A bunch of other videos are popping up on your screen now for you to check out, so why not check them out?